Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. So, y'all, I'm watching My Expert Opinion. You know, they're interviewing Derrick Rose. And so, this is the first time that we're seeing Derrick, aka Pooh. For those who don't know, Derrick nickname is Pooh. So, we're hearing Derrick talk about his frustration with the Chicago media and how they tried to make him a villain, how they tried to belittle him, how they tried to agitate him in a way to where they created this narrative to try to get him out of town. And he didn't say this media member's name in particular, but he was talking about a certain individual. And the person that he was talking about was Joe Cowley. Joe Cowley had a contempt for Derrick that I have never seen. Like for an NBA star, like I never really personally seen before. It was something crazy. The way Joe Cowley made his attacks personal, if I was Derrick, I would have snapped a long time ago. And the fact that Derrick kept his composure says a lot about that man's character and who he is as a man and as a person. Joe Cowley, made things personal, talking about Derrick's family, alluding to Derrick being dumb. And Derrick knew it because he just said it in the My Expert Opinion episode. He was like, man, he was basically calling me dumb. Talking about my family, making stuff extremely personal, things that an NBA beat writer is not supposed to do. Joe Cowley was absolutely disgusting. The way, like again, that he would try to instigate, he tried to instigate a beef between Derrick and Jimmy Butler at the time, asking Derrick certain times, do you think Jimmy's supposed to be taking them shots down the stretch, or you? Are you supposed to be taking those shots, or are those shots for Jimmy? Like, it was so crazy, man, and characters or beat writers like Joe Cowley contributed to Derrick really to Derrick being pushed out of Chicago. And I remember even in Derrick spoke about Joe Cowley trying to apologize. But even in that column, Joe Cowley didn't really apologize. Like it was backhanded. It was backhanded. He was still taking shots at Derrick even within that. And I'm like, look at this dude, man. This dude is a character. He's a clown. And this was a guy that we had in the Chicago media. And I always was pissed off about it because, Derrick had done so much for the Bulls, bringing us back into relevancy. The first MVP we had since Michael Jordan, making us a championship contending team as best as possible since the Jordan era. And when he didn't come back from an injury as soon as people wanted him to, because even though the doctor cleared him to play, he said he wasn't feeling right. Their leg was not feeling right. And when he didn't come back then, you had people that turned on him. Not Chicago, not true Chicagoans that were sticking with Pooh and watched him since he was a young kid playing. It was these individuals that really had no connection to Chicago. People from the suburban areas, people from the north side, places like that, that took it upon themselves to attack Derrick in his integrity and his character, as if he was just a guy that was out for the money. Joe Cowley called Derrick a selfish individual who just wanted the money, and like you wasn't saying that when the brother was putting the team on his back every single night and leading us to the best team and the best record in the NBA when we were 62-20, the year when he won MVP, right? But the next year when he didn't play when you wanted him to play, it became a problem. And characters like Joe Cowley, I was disgusted by these individuals. Joe Cowley he had so much animus towards Derrick. He suggested that Derrick's future was somewhere in China when he was still playing with the Bulls. Now, that's some hating stuff if I ain't never seen it. That's real hating shit. Even though Derrick wasn't playing at his former MVP level, you could tell that brother was an NBA player by miles. By miles. You just had people who were upset with him because he didn't play when they wanted him to. They were creating this narrative that he was somehow not useful in the NBA no more. Right? You had people thinking that Jeff Teague was never better than Derrick on Derrick's worst day at all. But you had guys like Joe Cowley pushing this type of narrative, right? Saying that Derrick's brand was failing. His game had not evolved. His future was somewhere in China. Like, huh? Are you for real? But this is the type of stuff that was going on, man. You had people, and there's this thing, too. We always talk about it amongst ourselves. There are two Chicagos. There's the Chicago that people like Derrick Rose and myself come from, and there is the Chicago like that people like Vince Vaughn come from, right? They come from the happy doodle Chicago, all the downtown and the roses and flowers, and we come from the inner city, right? And so people from the inner city, there was no way we could turn our back on Pooh. No matter what happened, we knew that brother was a hooper and that brother was trying. Things just wasn't working out at the time he was trying to come back. But you had the people from the north side and the far suburbs, like they were the ones that were booing Derrick once he got traded and they came back with the Knicks. And I'm looking like, how dare y'all? Are y'all for real? How dare y'all be this disrespectful towards a guy who laid his body on the line all the time and to make us relevant again and had us in playoff contention consistently? How can y'all do a dude like that was like, riding for us every minute of the hour, and making us, pushing us back into relevancy? Had us on primetime television consistently. Like, I could never do that. I don't care what happened with the injuries, right? But you had people like Joe Cowley who were pissed at Derrick when he didn't do what they wanted him to do. And let's be real, Derrick didn't fit the mold of what they wanted to represent the city. You see, Derrick is a kid from the South Side that's from the Chicago public school system. A lot of the people within Chicago that are from affluence, they have a disdain for the Chicago public school system. They have a disdain for the South Side of Chicago. They say how they wouldn't dare come to where we from unless they go into the White Sox game. That's it. That's 35th is as far as they'll go. Okay? They not coming to the South Side unless they got some real important business to come handle. Other than that, they talk down on the South Side of Chicago. They look at South Side Chicagoans with disgust. And Derrick saw that the moment he wasn't playing to the level they wanted him to play at. The moment he got injured, he saw the disdain and the disgust that a lot of these city residents have for Southsiders. For real, right? Looking at us as peasants that are beneath the bottom of their shoe. And he saw that. And I was like, man, see, when dudes like Joe Cowley come around, they were pushing that narrative that Derrick basically, he's dumb. Like his brand ain't the right image for the city. And then they started, when Jimmy Butler started to play well, they tried to push Derrick off the totem pole to put Jimmy up there in place because Jimmy fit the narrative that they like. Let's be real. White folks in America love the hard hat and lunch pail types tropes. They love individuals that's just hard workers. He works so hard worker. He's a hard worker. Jimmy built his brand off, I'm a hard worker. I work hard. I work harder than everybody. I'm the hardest working man in the gym, which is why I didn't like about Jimmy, because he tried to make it seem like he was the only person working hard in every organization he played at. Nobody else was working hard beside him. And white folks ate that shit up. They love it. They love them type of tropes. Oh man, he's such a hard worker, hard-working guy. He's swell. He's a hard-working individual. They love that, right? And then it also made it better. And people don't like to hear this. Jimmy was raised. He got the Blind Side story. Raised by the white family. He loves listening to Taylor Swift and music like that. It's that Jimmy was more digestible and he was more easy for them to accept and embrace than Derrick was. When Derrick wasn't playing, when Derrick had the injuries and he was trying to struggle to come back, oh man, it was easy for them to push Derrick to the side because they were never interested in Derrick outside of his basketball abilities in the first place, right? They never tried to ingratiate themselves with Derrick. Excuse me. And Derrick didn't try to ingratiate himself with them when he knew that they really didn't like him. He knew it. He said it before. I know you don't like me. I know when I know a media member doesn't like me, I know, you're really not there for me. You're really rooting for my downfall and demise. I'm not going to give you a great personal all access relationship. What you say is not going to kill me at all. And I'm not going to try to give you inside scoops. And that's the thing too. A lot of these reporters in Chicago wanted Derrick to be personable with them, but they were taking shots at the brother, throwing him under the bus every chance they could get. And they did it. We even saw articles in Chicago where people were suggesting that Jimmy Butler was the third or second greatest Bull behind Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. Third or second best, whatever you want to say. Some people were saying second, some people were saying third. He the third best player, the Bulls player behind Scottie Pippen. How could you do that when Jimmy ain't never won MVP? Jimmy ain't never taken us to no conference finals. He never done that. Ever. But that was the people in the media members who had contempt for Derrick, like Joe Cowley, They were trying to push that narrative that we didn't need Derrick. And Jimmy was the future. He was the prize of this organization because Jimmy fit the mold of what they wanted their superstar to be. You know, liking Taylor Swift, hard-hatting lunch pail type of guy. I'm just a hard-working guy. I'm swell, pal. And then he was good friends with good old boy Mark Wahlberg from Boston, Massachusetts. It made him look like the all-American guy. Mark Wahlberg loves Jimmy Butler. Oh, this is good old buddy. It made that more, Jimmy became a more digestible figure. He had the blind side story that made him more lovable to people than Derrick. Derrick was a kid from the hood, from the block, who emerged and made it, who made something of his life and changed his family life forever. He was a guy who used basketball and his basketball abilities to escape poverty, right? He didn't have this blindside story with a white family coming in and take care of him, and he loves Taylor Swift. He didn't have a love for Taylor Swift and all of that from what we knew. Jimmy Butler made his love for Taylor Swift public, and people just loved him for it, and they were enamored by all of that, right? I'm sure, like if Derrick tell him, nah, man, I listen to Beanie Siegel, I listen to Jadakiss, I listen to Chief Keef, I listen to Lil Durk. They wouldn't have liked that. That wouldn't have been something that they gravitated to, you know. So it didn't help that Derrick came from the Chicago public school system. He from the South Side. They didn't fool with that at all. But the reporter that Derrick was talking about, in my expert opinion, was Joe Cowley. And then you even had individuals like David Kaplan, who's very outspoken, who can be very harsh at times. He was talking like when Derrick was basically, they were asking Derrick questions, taking stuff out of proportion, when he was saying basically, I'm not going to come back from an injury soon just to please everybody. Like, I come back from an injury just to make people happy. I'm not ready. I damage myself even more. And then long term, I'm going to be I keep injuring myself after that just to come back and please people. I'm going to be walking with a cane when I get older. I ain't going to be able to walk at my child's graduation, because I'm just trying to come back and satisfy people rather than coming back when I'm ready. They took that as, oh my God, Derrick just said he ain't going to play basketball because he want to walk well at his child's graduation. Where's his heart at? His heart is not really in Chicago. It's not really in the city. People like David Kaplan was like, what is this kid thinking? How is this kid thinking? Even David was alluding to Derrick being not that smart, right? David Kaplan was. And David knew he was wrong, which is why he had to apologize to Derrick personally. He apologized to him because he didn't understand where Derrick was coming from, what Derrick was going through. And he had to apologize because there was some disdain in even David Kaplan's voice, right? But the key part about it all was that when this was going on and the media members were attacking D-Rose, media members like Joe Cowley, the Chicago Bulls executives, the front office was letting them do it. They were letting them do it. That's how you know they had the okay. They had the okay, the green light to get Derrick up out of there. And Derrick figured it out like, oh no, they don't want me here either. They letting them get down on me. They letting them ride on me, man. John Paxson and them, they letting them talk about me like this, and they not checking them. They not trying to nip this in the bud or tell them to cut it out. Cut it out. They letting them gang up on me. They letting them talk down on me. They're letting them, create this narrative, this firestorm narrative that I don't want to be here no more and I don't care about basketball. And that's when he knew, damn, the writing is on the wall. Maybe it's time for me to go. Maybe they want me out of here.